Hey guys, welcome to Paradox of Losing Cycle channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about the house edge and how it's a risky terrain. The house edge is the advantage that the house has over the players. So, in hundreds of years, the house maintained their edge over the players, and they always win. As they say, as the statement goes, the house always wins, and it is true. So we will explain, the mathematics behind the house edge and how it works. Let's get started. What is a house edge? In most forms of gambling, such as casino games or sports betting, the odds are structured in a way that favors the house or bookmaker. This means that over the long run, players are expected to lose money, and the house is expected to win with 100% accuracy to win in the long run. This expected loss on players is often referred to as the house edge, which have proven accuracy for hundreds of years with no variance. Now, the players are constantly trapped under the anticipation of a big win, which is a trap provided as an allure by the bookmaker. Um, as this picture depicts, probably a medieval age in Europe, where there's a crowd, looking at the stack of dollars on the table. Okay, or I mean, in Europe they don't have a dollar; it could be their own currency at that stage. But basically, the crowd is watching at the dollars, and they are hoping for a big win to get them out of their misery. And they are hoping that maybe they can place a bet, and the bookkeeper is tempting them to place a bet. So, when somebody comes forward to place a bet, either he wins or he loses. So, but the house, the bookkeeper always wins. In a long run, even if 1 out of 10 wins, the 9 will lose. The bookkeeper is eventually a winner. So let's describe this phenomenon. Now, in terms of that time, when let's say 500 or 600 years ago in Europe, or or somewhere else, they in Asia, they used to provide this kind of games, on the streets, where a person sitting on the street providing a betting service, saying that if you can predict where is the ball in which cup, you will earn some money. So the bettor would come and say, well, well, let me guess, the ball is in this cup, and then he loses. From that age till, today, so we can see how massive change took place in this gambling world, right? So what has changed so far in hundreds of years? What has changed is in new game designs. In Las Vegas, in Macau, and elsewhere, basically you have massive technology coming up with different kinds of games of chance. From those simple game of chance, where they used to provide an option to bet on a single game. Now it got exploded to thousands of games, thousands of designs, online, offline, you name it. Okay. Now, basically, what has changed is the game designs. Now, each game, obviously, it has an inherent house edge incorporated, technologically designed, programmed, and making sure that the house still maintains the edge over the players. So, casinos protect their long term profits through a combination of probability and risk management strategies. Now, here's how they do it. The house edge casinos ensure that the odds are always in their favor by incorporating a built in advantage known as the house edge into every game they offer. The house edge represents the statistical advantage that the casino has over the players, ensuring that on average, the casino will profit over the long run. This advantage is carefully calculated based on the rules and probabilities of each game, technologically, okay, allowing the casino to maintain the profitability regardless of individual outcomes. Then comes the game design. The game design, casinos design their games to maximize their edge while still providing entertainment value to players. This involves carefully balancing factors such as payout ratios, game rules, and bet structures to ensure that the odds always favor the house. For example, slot machines are programmed to pay out less than the true odds of winning, ensuring that the casino retains a portion of every wager placed. Then the casino has a stringent risk management. Casinos employ sophisticated risk management techniques to mitigate potential losses and ensure consistent profitability. Casinos employ sophisticated analytics and monitoring systems to track players' behavior, game performance, and financial metrics in real time. Now, overall, casinos use a combination of probability theory, game designs, and risk management to protect their long term profits while providing entertainment to their patrons. Now, what is the law of large numbers? The law of large numbers guarantees that the actual results of many repeated trials will tend to approach the expected value predicted by probability theory. For example, in a fair coin toss, there where the probability of getting heads is 50%, the more times you flip the coin, the closer the ratio of heads to total flips will get to 50%. This principle ensures that even individual outcomes may vary, the average outcome will align with the probability set by the game's rules. Now, let's break it down mathematically. There is something called expected value. Okay, in gambling, the expected value of each game session played by each individual, on average, the outcome of a bet over the long run, is called the expected value. Now, it's calculated by multiplying the probability of each possible outcome by the payout or loss associated with that outcome and summing them up. In most cases, the expected value is negative for the player, indicating that they are expected to lose money on average with each bet. Now, let's look at this graph. You have basically the probability of heads and tails. On the x-axis, we'll have the possible outcome, heads, and on the y-axis, we'll have the expected value EV for each outcome. So you have on the x-axis either heads or tails, and then you have the probability is if you get it right, 50%, then you get $1. If you get it wrong, then the probability of 50% of losing $1. Now, for a fair coin toss, the probability of getting heads is 50%, and probability of getting tails is 50%. Now, let's calculate the expected value. EV, or the expected value, is equal to probability of heads times payout for heads plus probability of tails times loss for tails. Now, it's equal to 50% times 1 plus 50% times -1 is equal to, voila, $0. So what does that mean? It means that the expected value of each bet is actually $0, indicating that on average, you neither win nor lose money. So it's all about probability of the expectation. So basically, when you make a decision, you're making a decision of a probability of an outcome, and you are expecting this to be heads, but then it turns out tails. Now, can you say with 100% accuracy that my prediction is right? 100%? No. Because the moment you predict that it's going to be a 50-50 proposition, then actually, even if you win or lose, it doesn't matter because the expected value is 0, which means that your decision is worthless and you shouldn't have made that decision in the first place. This is why it's a risky terrain. Now, you've been better off if you've been hopeless to win. Then, in that case, you would just walk away from that bet. If you were hopeless to win, then you would probably not bet. In that case, you won $1. That's why that comes with a certainty, because that comes with a certainty that you kept your $1 in your pocket if you had decided not to bet. But the moment you have basically introduced a decision factor that, well, I think it's gonna be tail, then you are introducing the probability of 50-50. So in that case, your decision value has an expected value of $0. Okay, and that's a losing proposition, and most likely you're going to lose it. So basically, why? Because it has a negative expected value tendency, right? So we'll explain this further. So, I mean, from this graph, you can see the expected value, average outcome of each bet is at $0. In the long run, if you keep betting on this fair coin toss game, your average outcome will tend to go towards to $0, indicating that you neither gain nor lose money on average. Now, this graph visually represents the concept of expected value in gambling, where even in a fair game, the player is expected to break even over the long run. In most real world gambling scenarios, the expected value is negative, indicating that players are expected to lose money on average with each bet in the short run. So we will explain that. Now, let's break it down mathematically when it comes to the negative expected value. So, we talked about the expected value. Now, there's something called negative expected value. It's mostly negative while gambling, but becomes positive for a short time before returning to negative. Okay. Now, this aligns with our previously discussed concept called marginal propensity of loss or marginal propensity to lose, which is the house edge. In casino games like roulette or blackjack, the house edge ensures that on average players will lose money over time. For example, in American roulette, the house edge is around 5.26% because of the presence of the zero and double zero pockets. This means that for every $100 bet, the player can expect to lose 5.26% on average on each bet. Now, variance and winning streaks, while the expected value is negative, there will still be winning streaks due to luck factor. Now, these winning streaks create the illusion of profitability, but they are statistically expected to be followed by losing streaks. This is known as variance. Over time, the cumulative effect of the negative expected value ensures that the player will lose money overall. While occasional wins may create the illusion of profitability, the mathematics of gambling ensures that, over the long run, players will experience incremental losses due to the negative expected value and variance inherent in most forms of gambling. So now this is a graph. It has a positive expected value and negative expected value for each coin toss. So let's say you do several coin tosses, and let's see how many wins and losses you get. So you get here a loss, a win, a loss, a loss, a loss again, loss, loss, loss. What's happening here? Basically, you started, going negative, and then you went up above the $0 line, and then you crashed. That's what it means. That's called the negative expected value. So in each game, it has the same pattern. It briefly goes above the zero line and then it crashes. Briefly goes zero line and then it crashes. This is the ups and downs of the gambling, guys. Welcome to the club. So basically, this is each game you experience the same phenomenon no matter what you do, what you say, what you think. That's the pattern. Okay, it's called negative expected value of each gambling session. Now, you might be lucky enough, to walk away when you get that win above the zero line. I mean, very few do it, by the way. Very, very few do it. But most of the gamblers, they keep on gambling. They go into this disaster zone. I mean, they play negative and then briefly go above the zero line, and then bam, crash. So in this graph, the y-axis represents the expected value of each bet. The x-axis represents time. The line fluctuates around the $0 mark, indicating that the expected value is often negative. At certain points, the line spikes above $0, indicating a positive expected value, for example, a winning streak. However, the positive EV is short-lived, and then the line returns to negative territory shortly after. All right, so let's talk about the bell curve. The bell curve is a famous or very well known statistical model. It basically has y-axis and x-axis again. So you can see on our left-hand side you have losses, and on the right-hand side you have wins. So these are the incidence of losses and wins, and frequency, how many times you lose and how many times you win. So we will see what is the pattern of your losses and wins over time. So basically, you are now playing, you're gambling. So basically, you have a plus sign here on the loss, meaning that you lost, you lost, you lost. Now here you won. The plus sign is on the win side. You won, you won, loss, loss, loss again, win, lost. I mean, the plus sign, if it is somewhere close to win, it means like it's a small win. If the plus sign is on the extreme side of the win or extreme side of the loss, it means that either it's a big loss or a big win. That's what it means. Win, loss, loss, marginal, maybe win, marginal loss, 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 marginal win, win, big loss, medium loss, small win, medium loss. Okay, now basically that's a bell curve. Over time, that's a bell curve that you're looking at of your wins and losses. Now, what does it mean? It means that if you draw the line, median line, on that bell curve, it comes around here. Is slightly skewed towards losses. So this is a very powerful concept. Basically, what it means in the gambling session, you're gonna have more concentration of losses than the wins. Now, this is the same concept and bell curve as the negative expected value that we have described previously in our previous slide. It's the same concept. Basically, if you have a win or if you have a cumulative basis, if you have a surplus, it's a short-lived above the zero line, and then bam, you're gonna crash down. So on the bell curve, it shows that most of the losses are skewed to the left side of the bell curve than on the right side of the bell curve. So let's describe this bell curve in more detail. So in the context of gambling, the bell curve, also known as the normal distribution curve, illustrates the distribution of outcomes over repeated trials of random process. This curve is particularly relevant when considering the distribution of wins and losses experienced by gamblers over time. When represented on a bell curve, the majority of outcomes, including both wins and losses, are concentrated around the median line. This median line on the curve typically represents the average or expected outcome for the gambler. In the case of gambling, where the odds are typically stacked against the player due to the presence of a house edge, this average outcome often tends to be a net loss. Now, the area under the curve to the left of the median line represents the cumulative losses experienced by the gambler, while the area to the right of the median line represents the cumulative wins. However, due to the asymmetric nature of many gambling games, where the odds are in favor of the house, the wins are typically less frequent and smaller in magnitude compared to the losses. All right, in other words, while there may be occasional wins that extend to the right side of the median line on the bell curve, they are less common and generally smaller in size compared to the losses that accumulate to the left side of the median line. This asymmetry reflects the inherent risk in gambling, where the potential for losses outweighs the potential for gains over the long run. Overall, the bell curve in the context of gambling serves to illustrate the statistical distribution of outcomes, with losses being more common and concentrated around the middle or median line, while wins are less frequent and tend to be smaller in magnitude. This highlights the importance of understanding the probabilistic nature of gambling and the inherent risks involved in seeking to profit from games of chance. All right, so let's go back to our original losing cycle. Okay, the concept that we basically introduced in this channel in the very beginning, and that's volatility and losing cycle. So so now we have basically talked about the expected value and the negative expected value and the bell curve. All are talking leading to the same conclusion, that it's a losing cycle. That basically over the long run, the gamblers are losing money. They are not winning. They're not accumulating wealth. They are losing. They are going towards ruin, no matter what. Okay, the house always wins. So it's the same concept in our original concept of losing cycle. So let's go and revise our original theory about losing cycle. So basically, what we said, we have two axes. We have volatility of your cash flow and the time axis. Okay, so this is a gambling session to monitor the longer you gamble, what happens to your cash flow, and that slope is called the MPL, which is the marginal propensity to lose curve, and that's MPL1. And basically, as you start your gambling session, you're going to start your MPL, which is margin propensity to lose, because there are more frequent losses than wins. So basically, you have ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, and then on a cumulative fashion, you are going downward. Your cash flow is being pushed downward. It's not being pushed upward. It's being pushed down. That's the MPL curve. So that's your gambling curve while you have started gambling sessions. So it keeps going down until you hit a, a spike. Now, since you were going up and down here on this MPL curve, your cash flow might have depleted by 20%, and then you might have here placed a little bit, bigger bet, and this bet could either take you down to a ruin, or it can take you up. Because since you are continuing gambling, since let's say hypothetically that you might have won here on your big bet because you placed a larger bet size here, this curve, MPL curve, gets shifted upward. Okay. So basically, what happens here is that, okay, now this basically is illustrating that, this is an up and down cycle. So you are facing up and down volatility on a cash flow as you are betting, but increment on the cumulative fashion is being pushed downward. The slope is downward, even though the wave is looking like as if you are winning and losing. But if you look at it on a cumulative fashion, you are losing until you hit this spike here, and this spike can take you up. Once it takes you up, the MPL curve shifts upward, and we call it MPL2. Again, you're going to start betting, but on the MPL curve 2, you will have a bigger bet size, as basically, you are overconfident now, and you have illusion of controls, and you are confident that you have a skill in place, and you will marginally increase your bet. And I don't think you're going to be going back to same grinding or small bet on the MPL1. So on this MPL2, once you have a spike here that have taken you upward, you will start betting on a higher magnitude. So basically, your ups and downs, your wave will be bigger, and the cash flow volatility will be much higher on MPL2 until you see another spike coming. So basically, on this MPL2, once you start resuming your bets, and then again, your depletion of your capital will be in a much bigger and faster. So basically, you might have as well gone all in at this stage, where the spike can come in, and either that spike can take you down to a ruin, or it can take you up. Okay, that's the luck factor. So this basically explains, in line with the bell curve and in line with negative expected value concept of mathematics, they are all aligned together, meaning that the negative expectancy value of your gambling in terms of the profitability is negative. The cumulative effect of gambling on your cash flow is negative. Now, despite the fact that you might get a spike or two, or losing streak or winning streak, that's basically is a one-off. It has a probability of taking you to a ruin, or it can take you up. Now, all of this basically is saying what it's basically, it comes under the umbrella that the house has an edge, the player doesn't have an edge. The players will definitely lose over the long run, proven by the math, and proven by the nature of the game, the nature of the law of large number, and basically, all of the mathematics and all the logic is referring that the house has an edge, and the players will definitely go into a ruin if the game is basically continued over a longer time period. So guys, so thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe to our channel, and also press the like button as well if you like this video, just to let us know that you have enjoyed this video and you found it informative, and we will keep producing innovative video as we go. And thank you guys. Thank you for watching the video, and see you guys later soon. Cheers.